Alright, what's good, you guys? It's your boy Zens. We're back on the channel. We're here for the last video in the sound design series. Appreciate everybody who's been checking out the videos so far. We're gonna be making hi-hats and open hats. So I kind of just grouped these together like the kicks and 808s. Honestly, without further ado, let's just get straight into it. Okay, so for open hats and hi-hats, they're essentially identical in the way that you would start to make them. Like the sounds that you use is pretty much just white noise or any type of like noise, I guess. And then once you pick whatever noise you want, you just EQ it, and that's really it. There's like a little bit of processing you could do, but for the most part, like hi-hats are pretty simple in that way. You just need a little bit of like that resonance in there, and then that's really it. So you just take your noise here and we'll just shape it. So bit of a short decay. You want to kind of stabby, and then we're just going to run this straight into the EQ. And so yeah, I'm bringing it like way in right now. I want to get the kind of dynamic of the hi-hat too. So, and you can bring the sustain up to bring some of the tail back in. That's what I'm doing now. Maybe mess with the hold a little bit. Now let's run this EQ real quick. Overall, like I was saying, you just want to do like a pretty big EQ here. I might even switch it up a little bit on here. Let's see, we got some other ones. We just pretty much cut out all of like the low mid information. And I usually cut a little bit of the highs out too. And then yeah, I usually start kind of like boosting and like cutting in this area. So I usually cut like around here maybe, and then a little bit up here. You kind of just gotta hear your way around this stuff. It's different depending on like what type of noise you're using. You can also get away with these 48 decibel per octave ones too. Doing these with literally any drum sound is going to give it different character entirely. All right, let's bounce it out really quick. We can do some stuff in here with the equalizer and Edison. I kind of like doing it in here, to be honest. That was kind of cool. That was closer to what I was going for. And then we'll try one more, a little darker maybe. So I got 3 different like little tones to it. So instead of pulling up lossy, I'm gonna pull up the alternative to it. It's called lane VST. I don't know why, but it's just like lossy. So hold on, let's actually pick which one we want to use. Okay, I actually like this second one we did. Let me just move this one down, and we'll route this one to the lossy channel here. And then usually what I do here is I'll start shaping it just a little bit. So same thing we did with the snare. We just mess around with the resampling modes a little bit. If you need it a little bit longer, like if you want to extend or stretch the tail back, like if you took a little too much tail end off, then you could kind of bring it back in. And a lot of these work honestly for hi-hats because you're filtering it and you're EQing it anyway. So you can't really hear a lot of like the stretching that you would normally notice with like a snare or something like that. Sounds good. So you might have to mess around with this cut, and most definitely you're going to probably have to boost this resonance. Okay, cool. And then let's mess around with these again. Okay, so I'm all right with that sound. So now we're running into the EQ. We're not going to do nothing yet with that. If we end up needing to clean it up a little bit more, it's better to just have it there. And then we're going to activate this lane VST. So yeah, it's really, really simple. Just mess around with the bit rate and see how much like degradation you want on it. I think probably the only downside to this versus the GHz lossy is that this one has a lot of latency on it. Last thing I'll usually do if I'm still a little bit on the fence about the way it's hidden, like if it's not stabby enough or whatever, transient shaper is going to be your best friend. And that applies across all types of drums. Like if you ever need to boost the transient instead of trying to like manually go in and do it, it's better to just use a transient shaper because it can easily control transient, body, and tail. I'm actually going to bounce this out real quick so I don't have to deal with the latency no more. Cool thing about the equalizer here, if you're using the same Edison, it'll save your EQs you've been doing in the equalizer. So I'll just run it through the same EQ again, maybe change some parameters a little bit. Okay, not bad. We'll just drag it out and do what we was going to do here. So we can mess around with the transient shaper, but I don't think we absolutely need to. So we'll see if we get something nice. Okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah, other than that, I think I probably run into this issue the most when I'm putting drum kits together is that if you're doing more than maybe like 5 hi-hats in a drum kit, you'll often find that they all kind of sound pretty similar. The more sounds that's in that folder, it's gonna be harder to make them sound different. Gotta approach each hi-hat a little differently. So what I usually do is, once again, more like processing. Like you could do different processing chains on each different one. Some of them can have like certain effects on them. And I mean that in the sense that like one of them can have like delay on it, maybe like a cool delay effect, and another one could have like a reverb on it, like a real light reverb, stuff like that. Real simple stuff, nothing too crazy, but like depending on what type of sounds you're going for, it can be more like intense, I guess. You can run it through a saturator or a distorter, things like that to give it a little bit more juice, but you really don't need to go like too crazy with it. So, and the only issue I really see with this is like the attack is kind of strong still. Let's use that and then we'll boost the attack again. I was going for something a little bit softer like that. Run that through the transient shaper again. Okay, I had to mess with the speed. I don't mind that one. That one's cool too. Just messing around with some different options. There is a preset in Punch that I use sometimes. I've been using this in all of the videos, but sometimes the presets work really well too. So yeah, that one's like kind of like a one-stop shop sometimes. Okay, that's hard. That's hard. Render that. Yeah, this one's cool. Let me bring this one out too. That's hard right there. And then we could call this last one, call it Bit Crush, and then we'll just pull up Desmart just for example purposes. Run through some quick presets. It does kind of clean up and sharpen the hi-hat almost. I think that's the best way to describe it. So you might want to run it through Lossy again, or the Lane VST. But if you're going for this real clean sound, that's already enough right there. Fire. Let's talk about open hi-hats real quick. So I'm gonna be completely transparent with y'all. I found like a video on YouTube. I'm gonna definitely link it down in the description. So shout out to this dude. And before I seen his video, I didn't really know how to make it that well. It's basically a bunch of square waves like detune, and then you just like EQ it, and that's it pretty much. So all we gotta do is just get ourselves a little square wave here. Yeah, we gotta take it off this mixer channel real quick. Then we'll reshape this, shape it to something closer to an open hat. Bring the decay out a little bit. Okay, and then we'll actually turn the filter off for now. And we can actually leave the noise on here. It doesn't really affect the signal too much, but it'll add like a little bit of dirt to it. So I guess we could keep it there. So we got a basic square wave, and then you just want to bump the unison up to maybe like 8 or something like that, or more, and then you just detune it. That sounds beautiful. Trusting the process here, we run it through the filter. So we'll do the noise layer and then oscillator A, and then we'll change it to probably think high could work. Yeah, and then we just kind of bring it all the way up. Let me try a different one. Yeah, something like this, and then bring it back a little bit. So we got something going. Hold up. We ain't done yet. Now we go to global, and then you just bring the range like way up. I was just moving through the presets trying to find like a different high pass. That one sounds better to me. So yeah, bringing that resonance slightly up and then just playing around with where this kind of is hitting at. And this is really as much as I would do personally in Serum. Like I would just bounce it out at this point, just saucing it up with some air a little bit, like give it a little bit more clarity, and then maybe mess around with some more resonance once you get to the sampler, distortion, bit crushing, and 100% like lossy and stuff like that too. Yeah, let's actually go through and see what we can get with some presets real quick. Yeah, let's definitely run it through an EQ real quick. I'll take some of these bands out too. Maybe make this 48 decibels. And then we'll just take this out and start bringing this way in so we can see what we need to take out still. Sounds good. All right, cool. We'll just bounce that real quick. maybe just run it through lossy, and then we can just try some like decimort stuff. Maybe we could do decimort first actually. Like that pitch down one sounds cool. We'll just have to go in and maybe EQ it after that. That's kind of hard though. Dang, pitch down sounds crazy. Okay, let's bring this lane BST in here and turn it a little bit. And let's use this ASR one because it's really clean, so we could just run it into the preamp. Yeah, that's fire. We just have to clean it up. There's a bit of a click at the beginning, so we'll probably just remove that part. And maybe cut a little bit more out and bring it in just like that. Something like that. That's actually fire. Hold up. Okay, let's fade that back out again. Yeah, that's clean. That's clean. I like that. Okay. So with that being said, I've been recording for an hour. That's really it for OpenAds 2. A lot of times I'll really approach it in a much more layered sense. So like I would splice them and then chop them or whatever else I'm gonna do with it, and then run it through like bit crushing and other effects. That's it for the whole sound design series. Actually, I forgot this is the last video, so I really do appreciate everybody who checked the videos out. It's gonna take a while to edit these jaws down, but with that being said, that's really it, man. Now that you kind of got the blueprint, you can just go crazy. So yeah, before I rant, I'm gonna just go ahead and get out of here. Like the video if you learned something, or if you like content like this, and definitely subscribe if you're new. Yeah, it's been your boy Zens. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.